This video is brought to you by NetSuite by Oracle. If you're a CEO who's tired of QuickBooks or tired of the nonsense of running multiple programs, then upgrade to NetSuite to more effectively run your company. Now let's talk about the New York Giants. It's a fan base that I love. They're intense, they're passionate, but they love their team. I predicted the Giants to go 4-12 in 2020. They overhauled everything. They got a new head coach, Joe Judge. They got a new offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, new everything. And in fact, Joe Judge was very intense during the preseason. I remember there was a story that came out where Daniel Jones was going to be live at practice. And I went, that's weird. It's like some college, high school type stuff going on. So I was curious whether or not Joe Judge's style would work in New York. And it did. It appeared to work very, very well. It's kind of crazy. I'm about to talk very positively about a team that did not have technically a great year by the measurables of winning, and then went 6-10. And it was for sure, it was a rebuilding year. Their star running back, Saquon Barkley, tore his ACL in the second game of the year, like blow after blow. It was awful. They had no offseason with new coaching staff. But given all the hurdles, I was impressed. This team went 6-10. And I walked away impressed with that record because they did stuff better than I expected. They fought through adversity. They fought very hard all year. They played in mostly competitive games. They had 16-game season. They had 3 games that were blowouts that were just like not competitive, where week 3 they had a bad loss to the 49ers. Week 14 they lost to Arizona 26-7. And then week 15, Colt McCoy is playing quarterback rather than Daniel Jones, the regular starting quarterback. They lost to Cleveland 20-6. So, look, based on what they did, other than that, every game was close, competitive. They were within striking distance. And I think it's interesting that when I look back on the Giants season, and this is just me, just when I look back on their year from memory, I remember that Tampa Bay Monday Night Football game against the Giants. And it's crazy to me. I look back at it. I looked it up. I'm like, oh, I can't believe the Giants didn't win that game. It felt to me like the Giants won. I found out, oh, no, they lost by 2 points. But that's a testament to how hard the Giants fought, that their defense played that well. They were in the game. And that's kind of a weird way to put the Giants into a nutshell. The Giants in a nutshell are a team that they lost, but they fought really hard. And I look back and I feel way more positive about their season than is reality, right? They lost that game to Tampa Bay. I really legitimately, when I looked it up, I'm like, oh, they beat Tampa Bay. No, they lost. They lost to Tampa. But, oh, I'm an idiot. I just remembered it because I was so competitive. They were fighting against Tom Brady. They had, I think, an interception. They were playing great defense, good coverage. It's a team that fought incredibly hard. They started 0-5 in New York. 0-5. They finished 6-10. I give credit to Joe Judge for that. Joe Judge brought his team together. It's very compelling. I really respect what Joe Judge did in New York, pulling that team together. The final 11 games of the year, they won 6 out of the last 11. It's impressive to me, man. That's a math, right? 6-10 minus 5 is 6-5, and that's 6 plus 5, it's 11. So yeah, I'm not from New York, guys. You guys are better at math. Boston, New York people. Now I gotta say, I'm still very lukewarm on the Giants quarterback, Daniel Jones. And I know people are mad at me for that. I'm not sold on the guy. And I think for context, you have to understand when you add up his fumbles and touchdowns rushing and touchdowns throwing, Daniel Jones in 2020 had 12 touchdowns and 12 turnovers. That's not exactly like great at all. It's mediocre at best. And Daniel Jones is rarely awful. I don't really watch Daniel Jones and go, what are you doing? That's terrible. I'm sure Giants fans do because you guys love to yell. I understand that. I like to yell as well. But he's mostly just fine. Fine. And fine is not what I want as my franchise quarterback long-term to lead me to a Super Bowl. So because Daniel Jones never blows me away, he turns over the ball way too much. The reward is not really worth what you're losing with Daniel Jones. Time is going to tell. I'm not convinced Daniel Jones is the long-term answer in New York. But I will say, I think the Giants, without a shadow of a doubt, absolutely brought in the right guy to be their head coach, Joe Judge. And I could not be more excited about Joe Judge and the future he has in New York with the Giants.